Welcome back to 843 TV. Our next guest is Miss Emily Johnson. She is the founder and director of Polaris Financial Group, located in Shelter Cove. Emily, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Emily, share with us about your resources overall, your services. What do you provide to our local clients and beyond?
Okay, so Polaris Capital Advisors is a financial advisory, financial planning firm. So we're a financial planning firm first, wealth management as well, investment management, et cetera, but we typically start our relationships with broad-based financial planning. So that runs the gamut. So we're different things for different people, basically.
Sure.
If folks come in and they have a specific question about their specific investments, or they want to run a comprehensive financial plan, they might have questions about planning for their kids' education. They might have questions about income planning for retirement. It really runs the gamut, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we actually, and one of the things we're going to discuss today, that we provide that is somewhat different from other financial planning firms, and it represents probably about 30% or so of what we do, is divorce financial planning. And I realize I sound like the black cloud, especially following Mary, who is here in her spring finest.
Black.
And I'm wearing my full-on black today, so I get to be the black cloud to discuss this. But it's a reality, and it's a gigantic financial decision, and it has massive financial ramifications, obviously. So making sure that when you enter into a divorce, that you do it with, I don't want to say full knowledge, because there's always more that folks learn afterwards, but so that they understand exactly what the financial ramifications are prior to the divorce and while they're making settlement decisions, and then after the fact, so that they can make the most of the financial family pie that they've built during their marriage.
We're going to talk about this more. Let me preface with saying it's very wise to enter into a marriage first with full information.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, if you get to that point, and then this is where you can come into play. So at what point might someone come to see you and start that discussion?
That's actually very interesting. So many times people will come into the office before they've actually decided to file, because perhaps they've been going through counseling. They want to get a better idea of what the financial ramifications are. Typically, one party is more knowledgeable about the family finances than the other, and lots of times there's an absolute division of church and state. You have, you might have one party that does all the shopping and the taking care of the children and knows what all the extracurriculars cost, and then another party that's doing the saving for retirement, and they really don't have an idea of what the other knows. So a lot of that process is education, and sort of bringing people to a realistic perspective of what the family finances are. So in that case, people will come prior to separation. Interestingly, I sometimes work with both parties, so it doesn't always have to be an acrimonious process. Sometimes we'll sit down with the husband and the wife and discuss, this is what our picture is. For better or worse, this is what our picture is, and these are the different ways that it can be divided. And if this is a reality, if this divorce does become a reality, these are some of the different ways that we can make this look so that we're making the most of the family pie. And there are many parties that actually can make that work. I mean, it's difficult, but there are many parties that can make that work.
Well, when are you brought into the process? Do the attorneys call you, or how do you get involved in the process?
So usually it's going to be an attorney that calls, and in that case, I'm usually dealing with just one party. So in that case, I'll work as an advocate for just that party, but the process is the exact same. So it's basically overlaying a financial plan on two families, or on what's becoming two families. So we gather all of the financials, just as you would in any financial plan, and sit down with that party to make sure that they understand exactly what their financial picture is, the assets, the liabilities, the cash flows, cash inflows, cash outflows, and how they can actually be divided, what titles are, et cetera. And then we talk about wants and needs, and that's sort of where things get a lot more difficult, a lot softer. And then we help put together the settlement agreements, go back and forth with the attorneys. I basically, when the attorneys are involved, I'm supporting the attorney's case. Whatever it is that the parties need in order to support that case is what I provide. And like I said, it's a lot of hand-holding and a lot of education. So attorneys will bring me in, mental health providers. I'll get calls from mental health providers for folks that they know are considering divorce or are going through it and need a little bit more financial backup, or just word of mouth. So it again sort of runs the gamut how people come in. But
so as far as top priorities that they should consider, is it primarily wants and needs, or are there other priorities?
Unfortunately, it's not wants, so the needs have to come first. I think the most important thing is having a really clear picture of what the assets are that are there, because so many times, and I am not a lawyer and I'm not a counselor and I have no armchair qualifications for either of those, but so many times what you see is that as communication is broken down in the marriage, then they have less and less of an idea of what the real financial picture is. In fact, because so many arguments are caused by money, lots of times
that's a major point. Yes.
Yes, lots of times they've just continued. They might, and what I find very interesting is when I talk to both parties, I find that lots of times they have the same financial values, but they've had such a breakdown in the communication that they're not on the same page anymore, and then whatever financial issues come up with the kids, maybe they want to, one wants the kids to go to private school, the other one wants to, whatever. It might be that that's where the breakdown occurs. So I would say the most important thing is really getting a good understanding of what is our marital picture. It might be good, it might be bad, it might be exactly what they expect, and make sure that you both understand it. The second thing is make sure that you have a really good understanding of what your expenses are and how those expenses are going to be divided. Because so often, and budgeting is a four-letter word, nobody ever likes to do it, whether you're going through a divorce or whether you're about to go to college, but we always forget stuff. We forget our prescriptions, we forget our club dues, we forget Christmas gifts and graduation gifts and all these things that definitely add up. And so having a really good idea of what those expenses are, those would say I think are the first two. And then of course there's so many other aspects, but really, unfortunately, when it comes to divorce financial planning, the job is trying to take the emotion out so that people can make good decisions in a bad situation.
Sure.
So.
Well, this is a heavy subject, but one that has to be dealt with sometimes. So if you have any questions about any of your financial needs, give Emily a call. They're at Polaris Investments. And thank you for watching. Stay right here. We'll be back with more 843 TV.